I welcome you all to the new session. In this session, we are going to discuss about what are the importance of the labor and labor productivity, and what are the factors affecting labor productivity, and how we can improve the productivity of the labor. Okay. Before going into the present class session, let us recall our previous session, that is how the wages are fixed to the labor, as well as what are the different types of labors available, that is class of labor, and for different class of labor how the wages are fixed. What do we mean by wage and all we discussed in the last class, correct? So what are the different modes of labors available or classes of labors? In construction industry there are n number of activities involved as a whole, isn't it? So if we consider excavation work, start from the surveying work and excavation work, and then concreting work, and then brick work, then plastering work, not only civil engineering related works, also electrical works, sanitary fittings, plumbing fittings, all these considered as different works which comes in building construction, isn't it? So in these categories only one person or one gang will not do all the works, because there are different streams. To carry out electrical works, electrician is needed, or electrical knowledge having person is needed. To carry out normal bricklaying work, skilled or semi-skilled bricklayer mason is needed. Like this, different classes of labors are needed to do or carry out different works coming under construction. Okay. And what do we mean by wages? Wages is nothing but we are going to pay certain amount to the labor depending on the productivity or the work which he will carry out, or the amount which suits to his survival. That also depends on various criteria. It might be a steel work, it might be a centering work, it might be a concreting work, it might be a electrician work. Okay. So this is how in the year 1947 some act has came, that is minimum wage has to fix to the labor. Based on that act, some minimum wage is fixed to the laborers. Okay. So let us move on to the present session, that is how to get the productivity from labor, or what do we mean by labor productivity. Okay. So before going into the productivity, how important is the labor for any construction activity? Let us recall that. For a construction labor, if we consider in today's fast track work, if you consider any production unit, it is producing massively, 1000 products at a time with the help of machineries, isn't it? So, but in the civil engineering field, we have not that much forwarded, or we can consider still labors are needed to craft the work. We are going to do each and every work with the help of labor itself. Still we are not getting machineries just to place. Of course, we have to place the column, to place the beam, to place the roof, but that is very costly, we can say, or very high consumption of cost will be there. But if we consider labor, compared to that extent, it is not that much cost effective. Okay. So now if we consider labor, what happens? For every work, start from the excavation or surveyor, it is going to be crafted from the labor itself or human itself. It is not yet, we have reached to that extent, all the buildings are constructed by machineries without help of man or labor. Okay. So in this context, a building still remains as one of the few handcrafted product put together piece by piece by craftsmen, the construction industry to which these craftsmen belongs to. is the one of the most intensive laborious work in not only India, all over the world I can say, right. For any construction project, overall project cost, if we consider 30 to 40% of the project cost will be used for the labor cost, or the whatever the people we are using to get the work done, that will be considered 30 to 40% of the overall project of the cost, and remaining will be for materials and for extra some miscellaneous works will be considered. So, just imagine 30 to 40%, if I consider some 1 lakh rupees of construction work is happening for small projects, for small work, in that 30 to 40,000 will be given for the labor itself, okay, and remaining for material consumption, right. What is labor production rates? After getting the importance of the labor, how to get the productivity from the labor? To get the productivity, what do we mean by productivity? The production rate is defined as the number of units work produced by a person in a specified time. Okay, suppose if I am paying a person so and so amount, means for a specified time how much he is going to work. How much means at the end of the work, what is the work carried out, or what is the amount of the work carried out for a unit time. Only if I given 1 hour of time and do this work, if I tell to the labor to complete so and so work in 1 hour, I can consider for 1 hour this person what is the extent of the efficiency, or what is the extent of the work completed, I can consider, isn't it. So, same way, a production rates may also specify the time in man hours. What do we mean by man hours? A healthy man in 1 hour what he can achieve or what he can produce without having any gap or any interruptions. A healthy man in 1 hour what he can work can be considered as man hours, or a man days. A man days means again a healthy man, how much works one day, means it is not 24 hours, again it will be considered as 8 hours a day, 8 hours of work in a day. Okay. Same way, it is required to produce a specified number of units of work. Okay. The time that a labor will consume in performing a unit of work varies between labor to labor and also from labor to the concerned project he is involved in. Project means it might be a very simple project where laying just PCC for an 100 square meter area. It is not that much difficulty. Instead of that, if I consider a circular water tank, for that n number of laborious works will be there. You need to fix the formwork in a circular manner without having any disturbance or any what I can say is exact quantity or exact dimension. It should be framed, that circular framework, and then reinforcement should be framed, and then concreting should be placed in that area itself. Okay. So, what I am trying to tell you is, if it is a very simple work, it is not that difficult for a labor to carry out that work for 8 hours of time. If there are a number of undulations or various difficulty levels in the work, that might be a column or a slab or a curved beam or a curved slab. In that case, the time consumption of the labor will increase. Okay. So, coming or considering all these points in the mind, we are going to fix what is the labor hour or man hour or man days required to produce a specified number of units of work. Specified number of units of work. The time that labor will consume in performing a unit of work varies between so and so works, different projects, and the site where he is working. It might be very easy site or it might be very complex site. Okay. Just imagine if it is a foundation or footing of 3 feet by 4 feet, doing a form work for 3 feet by 4 feet is not that difficult, because just it is a framing a square of 3 feet on 2 sides and 4 feet on 2 sides. Just one, if the plate or board is ready, you can come and place it and give the support, that is enough. But in the case of staircase, if you want to do a form work, how will be doing? Is that a simple box will be coming and fitting at the place? No, you need to frame an inclination, or you need to frame, if it is a waist slab, you need to frame an inclination of the staircase, that is bottom of the slab. And if it is a linked type of staircase, where the steps rise and treads are linked instead of the waist slab, then the type of form work will be different. There we cannot say to hit or to frame a form work for the footing. For 1 hour he will be doing so and so square feet, the same square feet for 1 hour can't be possible in the staircase area. So this is the difference between simple work and the complex work, which cannot be done in the same unit of time by the man hour or man days. Okay. Sometimes the production rate is replaced by term productivity. Sometimes the production rate is replaced by the term productivity. In the most general sense, the productivity is the ratio of input versus respective output from the labor. So what we can consider here is the ratio of input to the ratio of input to the output given by the worker or labor. Okay, we can consider. So here in construction, the input is often, in construction work, the input is often the work hours of a worker or a team of workers. Input means how many number of hours they are working, how many number of people working. If one person is working 8 hours, it would be considered as 1 man day. If 10 members are working, then multiplied by the 10 for 8 hours. So 10 into 8 will be coming 80 hours, 80 man hours working. And what is the productivity? Suppose consider a person in 8 hours, one person in 8 hours laying 500 bricks, that is constructing a wall of using 500 number of bricks from one person for 8 hours, that is 1 day of work. Okay. So what is the productivity there? Productivity would be 500 bricks per person per day of man hours. Per day of man hours. Okay, man hours means it will be considered as 8 hours or man days. Okay. So this is how productivity will be calculated. Thus, the construction productivity is defined as the quantity of work produced in a given amount of time by a worker or team of workers, or it can also be called as crew or gang. That is, quantity of construction output units produced in a given amount of time or a unit of time. For if you consider 1 hour of time, what is the quantity of work done at the end of the 1 hour? Or if you consider 8 hours of the work, that is 1 day of the work, what is the quantity produced? Quantity means how much area or how much volume of work is completed. If you consider concreting work, we could say so much m cube of concrete is completed by so many number of people in this unit time. If you consider plastering, 2 labors considered or completed so much area of plastering. If you consider form work, again so many number of labors completed shuttering work for so many square feet in given set of time. Like this you can consider so many other works. Okay. Usually the formula for productivity or the formula to calculate the productivity, usually what we use is construction productivity is equal to quantity of work produced to the time duration, from the labor. As I have explained just now, quantity of work produced means it might be, if we consider concrete, 1 m³ of concrete carried out by so many number of hours per unit time. Okay. Now, the next question is, once we understand how important the productivity is, once we understand the importance of productivity, because we have used some 5 labors by paying, just imagine 500 per person for 5 labors per day, 500 per person per day multiplied by 5 labors we are using means it would be around 2500 at the end of the day we should pay. Okay. So, what is the work should be extract from the labor? I should think of that in the initial stage of the work or just before a day or just before the project start. I should have clear picture. I am going to use so many number of labors, and for these labors I am going to pay this much of amount. For this much of amount, what should be the work done from my side or from the labor to get the proper productivity or better productivity. Okay. To increase the productivity of the labor, what are the measures or steps we could consider to increase the productivity of the labor? What are the steps or how we can motivate the laborers or how we can interact with the laborers is the most important thing to get the productivity from the labor. Very first thing is matching the right people or the right labor to the right job at the right moment. If you have so much time in the initial, what usually we do is any labor, we will bring any labor, we will not be knowing whether he is efficient or not in the initial stages, and we will be assigning some work to that particular labor. What happens without having knowledge, that is how much is the, what is the efficiency of that particular labor in that area of the work? We will not be knowing in the initial stages, but at the end of the day definitely we will be knowing this person is going to carry out this much of work in this 8 hours of the day by taking rest, by taking lunch break, tea break and all. Okay. So, what we need to analyze at the end of the day is what is the standard person can be done for this much of time and what he has made. What is the difference? Can I put this person again for this work for upcoming days, whether it is productive for me or not? All these things I should consider and I should replace the person or I should educate the person. So, this is the work you has to be carried out by the evening, but you have not done this. If you continue like this, you are going to deduct so and so wages, or you need to be complete this work at this particular time. Like this, we need to educate the labor or we need to act at the site as a project managers. Okay, this is the major point, that is putting the right people to the right job at the right time. Okay. And the second point what we can consider is track of employee or track of labor at the work site. What is track of employee or track of labor at the work site means? We should continuously monitor whether he is doing the work in a right way or he is doing any mistakes. Whether he is doing any mistakes or he is doing the work right way. For example, I have told him to do column reinforcement at that particular point, putting 12 mm dia bar. Instead of 12 mm dia bar, what he is doing, what he is preparing for that particular column, whether he is preparing 12 mm dia bar or 16 mm dia bar. That kind of track we should be or that kind of awareness we should have on that particular labor. If I assign some work to one particular labor, I should always be monitoring that labor, what he is doing to get the work done, whether he is using the right work or whether he is wasting the time by doing some other work. If you don't monitor the labor, obviously labor, not all the labor, few of the laborers tries to waste time, because if it drags, the works get drags, he will get more money instead of the owner. He will get more money, he will get more number of days of work, right? So, in that point of view, he may do some wastage of time at the construction site. To overcome this, we need to focus on the labor, or we need to monitor, or we need to track the employee labor. And the next point is communicate effectively with the labor. What is communicate effectively with the labor means? Initially, that is morning of the work begins. If the work begins at 9 a.m. means at 8:30 or 8:45, I as a project manager should communicate to the labor, this is the work should be completed at the end of the day. To complete this work, how you should get prepared. This work means what is that exact work? Suppose the concreting means what is the ratio of the materials you should use. Usually laborers will be having their own ratio, that is cements, fine aggregate, coarse aggregate and water. They will be having their own crude methods to follow that. But to overcome that mistake or to achieve what has to be achieved, I should tell that person properly, so much bags of cement should be used, or so much M cube of cement should be used. So if I say in terms of M cube, laborers will not be understood. It could be they usually they will be using mortar pans, or what we can say iron pans or plastic pans. That pan will be used to carry cement, fine aggregate and coarse aggregate to the revolving concrete mixing machine. For that particular machine, what is the number of bags or pans of cement he should use for one cycle, and what is the number of pans of fine aggregate he should use, what is the number of pans of coarse aggregate he should use, and also what is the quantity of water he should use, we should tell for the first time. If we tell properly for the first time and stand in front of him and get the work done for the first time, rest of the things or rest of the day he will do properly, because he will be aware of how to do and what to do, because he will be doing in front of us at the first stage. In the first stage, if you do mistake or if you don't monitor or if you don't communicate properly, the rest of the work will be according to the labor. It will be carried out. It might be success or it might be like this. Okay. And the next point what we can consider is fix the goals clear. Fix the goals clear means at the end of the day, or this person or you labor should complete this work in this particular time itself, because I have ordered concrete so and so date, that is considered, let's consider after 2 days I have fixed the concrete. If I want to put concrete after 2 days means I should be get the work done the before day or previous day itself. The shuttering work, the centering work should be keep it ready, and also the electrical work on the slab should be ready. If that should be ready, the reinforcement work should be keep it ready for the columns and beams at the previous stage. So like this, we should communicate the laborer gang, different gangs, that is centering person, bar bending person or concreting person, and so date I am going to do this work. To do this work, I should be ready with this work. That is, if I want to pour concrete, I should be ready with the centering work. Like that, I should communicate properly and I should set the goal for each day's end of the work. And how we can increase the productivity is, in other words, I can say incentives to the employees or recognition to the laborers. If any labor is doing great work out of 10 members, if one person is doing great work out of 10 members means I should appreciate that one person in front of everybody, so that he will be getting motivated, not only appreciating orally, also I should be giving some incentive. Incentive means it is not only in terms of money, I can offer him something else than providing vehicle for his movement or bus fare or lunch. Any kind of incentives I can offer, or 1 day of extra works money, 1 day of labor amount could be given extra. So like this, we should recognize one particular person who is doing great job among 10 members. If we do like that, what happens? Obviously the next person, that is second, third, fourth, remaining 9 members will be get motivated. Oh, if I do the proper job, or if I do the job correctly, even I will get the incentives or bonus or any favor from the higher authority. So we should impart that thought to the labor. Okay. So the next point what we can consider is how we behave, or how our attitude should be with the laborers at site. As a supervisors, or as a site engineers, or as a managers, we should get the work done from the labor with proper attitude or behavior, because our behavior will be main criteria to attract the labor. If I am speaking very exactly to the point, or what needs to be done, or the positivity of that particular point, labor, that will be enhancing the labor to, okay, this person is so good and he will tell properly what he wants to do, or what the work should be carried out. He is not going to rush on us, he will be telling properly what has to be done, and after completion of the work, he will send us to the next point or the home we can consider. Okay. So I should behave, or I should treat labor not like, I should not exploit the labor. I should behave with the labor in a proper manner or in a moral way. Okay. If we do that, automatically labor will be get attracted to us. For some labors we have to be strict, and we have to order in a strict manner. In such places where you want to be strict itself. If you are not, no need to be strict, just be calm and just get the work done. That criteria or that manners will help to get the productivity. Okay. So the next point or next topic is, what are the factors affecting labor productivity? What are the factors affecting labor productivity? See, till now we have discussed how to increase the productivity from the labor, correct? What are the points we discussed? We discussed labor attitude or our attitude, and how to get the proper, how to set the proper goal at the end of the day, and how to behave with the labor, or how to give incentives, or how to recognize laborers to get the work done, putting the right employee at the right place at the right moment, and communicating effectively what exactly the work has to be complete. So all these points we discussed to get the productivity from the labor. What is the factors affecting productivity means? What we are trying to do to achieve the productivity. If you do just opposite things, or if you just imagine, instead of doing all these things, if you get opposite to these things, obviously the productivity goes down. If you behave very rudely with the labor, automatically he will be thinking whatever I do at the site, he will be telling the same thing, he will be scolding us for every day, why we have to do good work. So such kind of mentality may come to the labor. So what are the points? First thing, overtime of the labor may reduce productivity, or if the overtime may not get the sufficient wage for a labor, will reduce the productivity. If I tell him your work is 8 hours a day, instead of 8 hours, I used to get the work from the 9 hours or 10 hours from the labor. That extra 1 or 2 hours, if I not pay anything, that 1 or 2 hours will be not getting productively from the labor, because he'll be thinking, if I do more than my actual working unit hours, obviously he is not going to pay. Why should I do this extra work? Such kind of mentality will come to the labor's mind. To overcome that, I can just give that 1 hour OT or overtime period will be paid extra amount. If I tell that, obviously the productivity increases. This is one part. The second part of overtime, how it affects is, from morning to evening, the construction work is actually not an easy thing. From morning to evening, at the sunlight or at the rainy area or at the full of stress, he'll be doing from morning 9 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Again after that, if I tell him to work, obviously the mind will not be moving towards the work, because he used to work from the morning to evening. How we can, not only that person or anybody continuously working laboriously means it is highly impossible. Okay, that is overtime means in that way. And next, moral and attitude. We just discussed moral and attitude, how we have to behave with the labor, because attitude or behavior matters very much on the productivity from the labor. And next is stacking of trades, factors affecting productivity we are discussing. In that, stacking of trades. Stacking of trades, what do we mean by trades? Trades is nothing but, if I want the material, that is steel, how I have stacked. If I want 8 mm dia bar, I should be easily getting that 8 mm dia bar. It should not be combined with the 16 mm or 12 mm or 10 mm. If it is combined, again it is difficult to get the 8 mm dia bar from those bundle. So I should place it properly, where if I want 8 mm, immediately I should go and get the work. If I get the material, automatically the production or the work will be carried out on time. Same way, stacking. If I want the cement, to get the cement, I should not go to somewhere else around 1 kilometer to get the cement for construction site. At the construction area, I should have one small cement storage unit. From there, immediately, whenever I want, I can get the cement. The stacking is very important. Whenever you need it, you should get it without any much disturbance. Okay. And next, mobilize or demobilize. Mobilize or demobilize means, you are working here for certain period and I am going to send for the next site, there some emergency is there, go and do that work and come back. Or whatever the material he is using, this material is more required than this site to the next site. I will send this material to the next site and I will make the labor idle to come the next material to the particular area. So in that case, what happens? Movement of materials or movement of equipments will be there. The labor will not be having continuous materials to work with. So he has to sit idle or wait for the material. The process or psychology of the labor will be, if he works continuously, whatever supporting materials he required, that will be ready with the material, he will be keep on working continuously. If something disturbs, automatically we will be taking rest or we will be keeping idle. And the next point what we can consider is start or stop. Morning 9 a.m. he has started some work. At 10 a.m. I will go and stop the work. No, this is not the way you should do. Just stop the work. I will tell you how to do it. There is some changes in the plan. If I tell that, what happens? Sir, I have done so much of work from morning 9 a.m. and now you are telling to change this work. How it is possible? Or demolition of works. So such kind of things will get the effect from the or effect of on productivity. Okay. And next is environmental conditions. If too much of rain is coming, we cannot able to work continuously. We have to go aside and sit, because in the rain also it is not practically possible to do some works, that is it might be concreting work or any work, because laborers is also human beings, right? We should have some moral. So based on that, if environmental condition is not supports us, we cannot work. In that point of view also, we will be losing our productivity. Okay, and this is all for this session. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you.